What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video I'm going to be talking about UFC fighters performances in recent history that surprised me immensely and made me go like, damn bro, I wasn't familiar with your game. Like, that's what I'm talking about in today's video. Fighters performances where I was like, hey shit, I didn't know you had that in you, bro. Or like, they just surprised me. It's not like the outcome was surprising, like not necessarily just if someone got like an upset win or something like that, but it's like they put on a performance where I'm like, yeah, you changed my opinion of you. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. We're not covering the whole fucking UFC history, so no, I'm not going to be talking about some fucking random fight from 2006, but what I will be talking about is the last like year or two of the UFC and just performances from fighters that did surprise me. So let me know in the comments which ones I missed or which performances made you change your opinion on a fighter. But yeah, let's get started with the first fighter. First performances from this recent card in Paris, and it's Ziam getting his first ever UFC KO and flatlining Matt Frevola in one of the best KOs of the year. And if Holloway had not KO'd Gaethje earlier this year, it's probably like borderline winning the KO of the year, because that shit was nasty. Put him unconscious with a knee. I would have actually liked it if he walked off, because Frevola was already out, and I think it would have been just a little bit colder if he just walked off straight away, because also the height at which he got his knee up was nuts. But Ziam, bro, I swear, I've been talking about Ziam like he's just a little anorexic Ziam. Looks like the kind of guy that's on the fucking UNICEF commercial, like, this child has to walk 5 miles a day to get water, and you can donate $5 and help them get water. Like, Ziam looks like one of those kids, I'm being honest, but, like, he surprised me in this fight. Like, he looked real good. He came out there, he looked dangerous. You know, Frevola had him in some difficult positions. Frevola had him in a guillotine. But, like, Ziam, bro, I'll be honest, looks like the type of guy who would tap to that guillotine. Looks like the type of guy who would tap to those submissions that Frevola was putting on him. But no, gets out of him, gets up, whoops Frevola's ass on the feet for basically the entire fight. And then in the third round lands a brutal knee and KOs Matt Frevola out cold, unconscious. I swear to God, he was out for like 3 minutes. It was nasty. And we were talking in chat, you know, before the fight, we were kind of making fun of Ziam, you know, when Frevola's whooping his ass. We're like, yeah, this is what happens, bro. You're anorexic. Like, this is what happens when you try and be 6'2" at lightweight. But no, Ziam looked good, bro. He came back, looked tough, didn't just look like a frail boy, and actually put on a really good performance. So Ziam impressed me immensely and definitely made me go like, damn, bro, I wasn't familiar with your game. Because that shit was nuts. That was a crazy performance. Let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Next up, we got another performance on the same card, and it's Bryan Battle fucking whooping Kevin Gissette's ass and declaring war on France and giving one of the best post-fight interviews I've ever heard. Look, I'm not going to try and do a Bryan Battle impression. You know, I fail immensely at many impressions on this channel, but I'm not even going to try and attempt this one, because his voice is fucking odd, I'll tell you that much. He does not sound how he looks, or he does not look how he sounds. But regardless, Bryan Battle had a crazy performance. Look, it was a competitive fight for the first round. Battle was definitely quicker to the punch, definitely looked like the cleaner striker, and then in the second, just started landing everything he threw and just teed off on Gisette, gets the standing TKO in the end, and then flips off the crowd. Immense aura gain from Bryan Battle, and then on the mic, just absolutely declares war on France and just starts absolutely screaming at every single one of them. And again, I'm not going to try the impression because I'll just embarrass myself. But Bryan Battle delivered that call out, or delivered that post-fight interview perfectly. So great performance from him. And definitely, even though like I know he was a favourite in this fight, I know it didn't surprise me that he won, but just the way that he did it, and I'm like, damn bro, this guy could actually be like a solid star at welterweight. Like, he's actually doing well. Like, that was the better version, the less cringe version of Colby Covington. It felt less forced as well. That was like the good version of Colby in Brazil, is Bryan Battle in France. Plus, I forgot to mention, he walked out to melanated people in Paris, which is just elite. So good job, Bryan Battle. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. We got one more performance from the France card, and it's Renato Moicano. I cannot afford to lose, Merab. Let me tell you something. Paddy Pavlovich, easy money. Dan Hooker, easy money. This guy looked like turtle injury. I don't know what I'm doing. I've turned that into a Dagestani impression somehow. But no, Moicano, amazing performance against BSD. Battered him. 10-8 in the first. Whooped his ass. Second round, BSD got back into it a little bit. But second round was, in my opinion, was just Moicano being like, yeah, I just expended a lot of energy and punched your face in for 5 minutes and left you looking like you'd been run over by a car. And then, yeah, gets the fight stopped. Look, I picked BSD. I'm going to own up to that. I was pretty confident in picking BSD, but Moicano, 1, proved me wrong, and then 2, if I thought Moicano was going to win this, I thought it was like a later round submission, maybe a boring-ish decision, just lay and pray, like kind of what he was doing against Dober, because against Dober, there was way less ground and pound, I'll say that. But like in his last fight against Jalen Turner, he proved that he does have some good ground and pound and he can get you out of there once you're on the ground. And then in this fight, he proved that, like, bro, if you end up on bottom against Money Moik, like, you're fucked. So yeah, really impressive performance from Renato Moicano, and another elite post-fight interview, which we've come to expect from Money Moik. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. Now, this one's not like a super crazy performance in terms of like it really changed my opinion on him. I knew Bahahmondes was good. I knew he was a really good striker. I knew he was dangerous, but I didn't know he was like that. Like, he just got out there and KO'd Torres inside the first round. Counter right hand, I think it was, looked nasty, put him away. Really good performance from Bahahmondes. And again, it kind of just made me like rethink him, because after he lost to Klein, I kind of thought he was a bit mid. In hindsight, like, Klein's pretty solid, even though he didn't look that good on the weekend. But even like looking at his record, I'm like, yeah, some of these losses are a little bit stinky. But no, this guy, same with Ziam, the 2 lanky fucks at lightweight. There's a lot of them. Ziam, Alvarez, fucking Zellhuber as well, Bahahmondes obviously. There's a lot of real lanky guys at lightweight, but I kind of thought, oh, these losses a bit stinky. Same with Ziam getting subbed by McKinney, and I was like, yeah, come on, I'm not picking you in this fight, bro. But he goes out there and just smokes Torres. Very similar sort of opponents to Torres and Ferreira compared to Ziam and Bahahmondes, the more lanky strikers compared to the real aggressive fighters. But yeah, Bahahmondes impressed me. Just went out there, was way too good for Torres and just KO'd him. So yeah, definitely a good performance from Ignacio Bahahmondes. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. Now, this one, again, is not like a super crazy... Like, I was not crazy, like, surprised by this. Like, I picked Lopes. I said he was going to run through through Ortega, sorry. I was like, yeah, Lopes is going to go out there and KO him early, or maybe win, like, a just easy decision based on damage. Ortega's not that good, but I don't know, just the way that he did it and how completely looked the whole fight, and basically he was in no trouble the entire time. This is not so much for me, but it's more for a lot of the fan base, because I think we all knew Lopes was good. Like, we'd all seen him submit Gavin Tucker, KO Sabatini, KO Yusuf, beat up Dan Ige, but I think after the Ige fight, people like, maybe this guy's not quite translatable to like the elite featherweights or the really high level featherweights, but he went out there against Ortega, who's only ever lost to Volkanovski and Holloway, and then I guess Ilia by injury, who he then beat. But like, Ortega coming off a win over Yair, I think a lot of people maybe were picking Lopes but didn't think he was going to show out like that. He just went out there and smoked Ortega early and then just beat him up for the rest of the fight. Even in the third, I think a lot of people were like, oh, if it gets out the first, Ortega's going to have him in some trouble. He'll drown him with the cardio. It didn't get drowned at all. It was all Lopes the entire time. So I think a very impressive performance, and a performance that kind of woke up the fans to the potential of Diego Lopes when it comes to like fighting the elite guys. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. Another performance from the Noche card was Esteban Ribovics and Daniel Zellhuber going to war. Now, this is more so for Ribovics, but for both of them, honestly, I did not know Zellhuber had that kind of chin. I did not know he had that kind of heart to stay in the fight, because I kind of, again, all these lanky guys, I always expect them to just be a bit frail, quit at the sign of adversity, kind of like Jalen Turner, but Zellhuber proved otherwise, and Ribovics as a big underdog, and I expected him to lose, even though I did have a sneaking suspicion that it was going to be closer than a lot of people. I think some people were calling like a Zellhuber masterclass. I thought Ribovics was going to do a little bit better than people were saying, but I still picked Zellhuber. But Ribovics proved he can get down and scrap with anyone, and he can be a problem for anyone in a war, and he's got a crazy chin as well. He took some nasty shots from Zellhuber, and then obviously dealt out that beating in the third, which again, credit to Zellhuber for surviving. So this one's sort of for both of them, to say credit to both of them for both proving themselves as really high level guys, good prospects in the lightweight division, and both under 30 years old as well. I think Zellhuber's 25, Ribovics 27, so both definitely got some bright futures in the sport. Let's move on though to another performance. Next up, we go to UFC 305, and I talk about Carlos Prates, who tuned up and then KO'd the Leech brutally. Again, one of the best KOs of the year, but it was a bit of a prolonged beating, not like a out of nowhere, oh my god, just caught him. He did drop Leech a couple times, but this, in my opinion, is one of the best pure performances, not best knockouts or best submissions, whatever, but pure performances, start to finish, no moments for the other guy sort of fights. Holloway Gaethje's up there, but even Gaethje had some moments. I think this is one of the more flawless performances in terms of he basically didn't get hit clean, Leech didn't hurt him, Leech didn't drop him, rock him, have him in any trouble, really, at all the entire fight. And Prates just tuned him up, stayed on the outside, and then KO'd him brutally and became the first person to knock out the Leech. Now, I picked Prates by KO, but I think a lot of fans were really woken up to Prates, and I think after this fight was when people started being like, oh, Prates versus, like, Luke or MVP or some of these top 15 guys, whereas before that, I think people didn't really, like, they knew he was a good striker with KO power, like, after the body shot against Rabecki, and obviously he got the KO in his debut against Trevin Giles, but I think this fight was, like, where people know the Leech. Not many people know Rabecki as much or know Trevin Giles. People know the Leech, and this was like the recognizable opponent for him to really break through as a prospect and people to be like, yeah, this guy's fucking legit as hell. So yeah, really good performance from Prates. I kind of expected something like this, but even still, he managed to impress me a lot. Let's move on though to the next fighter. Another one of the lanky men at lightweight is Joel Alvarez, and his performance recently against Brenner, it was one of the most impressive performances of the year, in my opinion. Another one of those Prates Leech type performances where he basically was not in any trouble the entire fight, and he just used Brenner as a punching bag for 10 and a half minutes or 12 and a half, whatever, however long this fight went for. I think it was a third round TKO in the end. But he hurt him, he rocked him on multiple occasions. We knew Brenner's got a chin, obviously we saw the Graham fight, but the fact that Brenner, who hung in there with Graham and took Orlby to a decision and gave him some tough moments, and has just been a tough out for everyone that he's fought so far. And then Alvarez just went out there and styled on him, tuned him up, made Brenner look like an amateur, made him look shit at striking, and yeah, made him look the easiest anyone has in the UFC. Brenner's always going to be a tough guy. Brenner's always going to be a guy that gives people some trouble. But Joel Alvarez had no trouble with him, just tuned him up and schooled him the entire time. And this was his first fight in like over a year as well, and started to make me think this guy's like top 10 caliber, honestly. Even though I knew he was good, I also didn't think his takedown defense was good. He stuffed takedowns. He actually did stuff some takedowns from Alvarez Brenner, whereas previously he's had like an 11% takedown defense. And then against Brenner, he actually stuffed some takedowns. So fair. And Brenner took down Graham as well. People forget, man, Alvarez Brenner took down Graham. Who takes down Graham? No, Alvarez looked really good and just smoked Brenner and beat him up. So really impressive performance and opened my eyes to the potential of Joel Alvarez. Let's move on though to another fighter. Next up, another title performance here. Belal Muhammad dominating Leon Edwards and just ragdolling him for most of the fight and dunking him on his head. Now, I do not like giving Belal credit for anything in life, but I got to give him credit. He really impressed me here and made me think, like, damn, bro, Belal's pretty fucking good. Like, I ain't familiar with your game. You just dunked Leon Edwards on his head. Whereas Leon has like previously stuffed takedowns and given Usman a tough time in the grappling and got back up and stuff like that. Tuned up Colby on the feet. Really didn't have much struggle against him. And then Belal made Leon just quit, basically. Not quite quit, like he didn't get finished or anything, because obviously Belal's not going to finish you. But dunked him on his head, took his back, looked good, ground control. Even the boxing looked good. I got hands like Canelo. I beat him in the striking, the grappling, the wrestling. But Belal, your hands ain't like Canelo, but they looked pretty good, I'll give you credit. So yeah, good performance from Belal. This might be the only video where I don't slander the man. But yeah, really nice performance from Remember the Decision. Let's move on though to the next fighter. Next up, we got Paddy Pimblett on the same card, submitting Bobby Green in the first round, made quick work of him and got rid of the lad very quickly with an armbar. Very impressive performance from Paddy Pimblett. This was like, I picked him in this fight, right? I picked Paddy Pimblett to win. I said he was going to... I think I picked him by decision, though. I picked him by grappling-based decision. I don't think he was going to just take down Bobby Green. Or not take him down, sorry, he didn't take him down. Bobby Green shot a takedown for some reason, but he proved on the ground this guy's guard's legit and you can't mess around. You don't want to be in... Like Joe Rogan, I wish Rogan was there for this fight. You do not want to be in that guard, man. That's a nasty guard. That's a nasty triangle there. Guillotine. That's Rogan. He would have been having a spaz if he was live for this fight. But yeah, really good performance from Paddy Pimblett. I still don't like him. I still think he's annoying and I think he's mid still. And I don't want to give him credit, but I'll give him credit for this fight. Because although he lost Jared Gordon, he did submit Bobby Green in the first round, so fair play. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fight. Next up, we had Silva beating up Drew Dober on short notice in Denver, upper weight class at altitude. One of the most impressive performances of the year. This wasn't quite as flawless as like an Alvarez Brenner or a Prates Leech, but Dober's going to be tough for anyone. Dober's a tough out always, and Silva tuned him up and styled on him. Now, I picked him in this fight, so I like to take credit for that pick, but I think a lot of people didn't really know, a lot of people weren't familiar with Silva's game. but they were familiar with his game after this, because this was an incredible performance. He whooped up on Dober, spinning elbows all over the place. He broke like both of his hands, so instead he just starts throwing elbows. Like, that's Chad behaviour from Gene Silva. And hopefully he's got a fight booked soon. I think he said he does. Hopefully he's fighting Bryce Mitchell so he can beat the fuck out of him as well. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight. Next up, we got Robert Whittaker whooping up and finishing Ikram Aliskerov in the first round. Now, I delusionally picked Ikram because I just believed in Dagestani plot armor, and I said that in my prediction video. I said every piece of logic is pick Whittaker. Ikram's mid. He's only beat Wally Alvarez and Phil Hawes, and he looked mid in against Phil Hawes, right? I said he's not that good. But I just believe in Dagestani plot armor, and he's going to fluke it and land a jab on Whittaker and somehow KO him. But Whittaker's like, no, none of that. I'm not falling victim to this Dagestani plot armor. I don't care who it is. I was going to fight Hamzat. I'll fight you instead. And just deals with him and KOs him. Now, does this make me think I'm still going to pick Hamzat to beat him? But this was a fucking plus aura performance from Whittaker where I knew he was good. This was not like, I didn't know Whittaker was that good. Like, I knew Whittaker could do that, but I just hadn't seen it. And when the fuck was the last time Whittaker just went out there and smoked someone? So that was why this performance impressed me so much, because it was like, yeah, Whittaker's on smoke, and he just went out there and ran through Ikram. So really good performance. Let's move on though to another fighter. Next performance was Diego Ferreira coming back after like a year and a half or some shit and whooping up Mateusz Rabecki and fucking finishing him with like 10 seconds to go in the third round at like 39 years of age. I was watching this and I was like, what the fuck? Because I was so confident Rabecki's going to win. I was like, yeah, he's stronger than him. He's more powerful. He's got better striking. He's too physical on top. Ferreira's not going to be able to do his jiu-jitsu shit. I was like, easy win for Rabecki. He was like minus 500. I swear to God, he was minus 500. And I'm just going to actually like literally get up on my laptop right now and just search up fucking putting my passcode in. How old is fucking Ferreira? Because I'm like pretty sure he's like 39. Dude, I swear he's 39. Wallahi, he's 39. It won't let me fucking see anything. Diego Ferreira, sorry. He is 39, yeah. He turns 40 in January, a couple days after my birthday, actually. And this guy just smoked Rabecki. Like, first round he did get dropped a little bit, got in a bit of trouble, and then after that is just easy work, just lighting him up on the feet, just tuning him up, way too good, too quick, just landing whatever he wanted. And I was still watching this being like, what the fuck is this? I was live at the time. I was like, yeah, Rabecki's going to win. I made a video like a few days earlier calling Rabecki like one of the best prospects in lightweight, saying he's going to be a future top 5 guy, and he just goes out there and gets smoked by Ferreira. So yeah, I got a lot of the aged like milkman comments, but fucking fair play, because Diego Ferreira impressed me a lot. Anyway, let's move on though to the next fighter. And now this one's got a bit of an asterisk next to it, because, you know, I knew Holloway was like that, but I know he was like that. Like, Holloway leveled up in this fucking fight. Like, not in terms of, like, he looked so much better than ever. Like, he's had performances like the Cater performance. He's had his, like, plus 10,000 fucking aura performances. He whooped up Aldo. He's had his, like, we know Holloway's good. I knew Holloway was good. I didn't doubt his skill level in this fight. But the way he dealt with Gaethje and the ending of this fight was like, damn, bro. Like, yeah, he's like that. Like, Holloway, that was the fucking it's just big me type shit from Max Holloway, bro. I know this sounds so cringe right now, some TikTok fucking trend bullshit, but you can't lie, like, that performance was nuts, and Holloway really put a statement on there, and then the post-fight interview was sick as well. But yeah, I picked Gaethje in this fight. I wasn't like overly confident. I wasn't saying like, oh, Holloway's going to turn out like Tony Ferguson or some shit like that, but I didn't think he was going to win. I just didn't think he had enough power coming back at Gaethje to win. I thought Gaethje was going to just be too much for him. But I was fucking dead wrong, because he went out there and KO'd Gaethje in the 5th round, pointing at the ground. You know how it went, and I was just surprised me in terms of like, yeah, what the fuck, like, fair enough. I was not familiar with your game. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. So we got Ilia Topuria as well here. Fucking Phil. But no, he did KO and dethrone Volkanovski, who has been champion literally since last decade. If I'm not mistaken. When did Volk? Because Volk had like the longest. Volk was like by far longest reigning champion. Going into this fight, like now it's Islam who won the belt in 2022. Because it was Leon from August. Volkanovski. Let me just find his record. When was the Hollow fight? It was 245, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was 245. But when was 245? He won the belt. He's been reigning since December 2019. And Ilia beat him in February 2024 after Volk was just looking... I mean, the Islam fight did it first, right? But still, that was nuts. First guy to beat him at featherweight ever. First guy not named Islam Makhachev to beat him in the UFC. It was a crazy performance from Ilia. And honestly, the way he went up there, like in the build-up, I was like, yeah, fuck this guy. He's going to get humbled, all this, all that. And he went out there and he proved it. So as much as I didn't like it, as much as I wanted Volk to win, and I'm very upset that he lost, I got to give Ilia credit because he fought probably one of the best versions of Volk. Maybe not the best version. I think the best version was probably that Volk we saw in the trilogy against Holloway. But yeah, he fought a very good version of Volk, not a version of Volk that had like visibly shown diminishments in his skill. But he looked really good and just like it was competitive, but KO'd Volk. So very impressive performance from Ilia, where he proved me wrong and improved himself right with all the shit he was saying. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. Next up, we got Tom Aspinall KOing Sergey Pavlovich to win the interim title at UFC 295. Now, obviously, we knew Aspinall could do this. We saw him come back and beat Dober. But at this stage, Pavlovich was like the most scary guy in the fucking division. And he went out there and just smoked him in a minute. And I was like, all right, fucking fair enough. I was familiar with your game, but I was not familiar with your game to this extent. So I was like, yeah, okay, you've fucking done some good shit there. And immediately KO'd him. And then immediately just started the talks of, like, yeah, Jones, you got to fight this guy now. Like, that was the talks immediately after this. People started jumping on that train. And obviously then he KO'd Blade. That was very impressive, but it's crazy to think, like, that isn't even, like, the most surprising thing. Like, he went out there and KO'd Blades. We're like, oh, KO from Aspinall. But no one was like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, that was kind of just expected, but I feel like that was expected because of what we just saw him do against Pavlovich, which was a crazy performance and proved me wrong because I picked Pavlovich in that fight. Anyway, let's move on to the next fighter. Next up, we had Islam Makhachev settling the rematch with Alexander Volkanovski and KOing him in the first round to win he already had the belt, or to defend his belt after a close first fight and his first defense against Volk earlier that year. Went out there in Abu Dhabi. Yes, it was on short notice. Yes, Volk was coming off the couch, not looking the best, bit out of shape. But still, just putting that level of stamp on it and just immediately just KOing him. And I was like, all right, yeah, fair enough, bro. Like, I can't doubt you no more. I think we all knew Islam was real good, but that was like, holy fuck, okay, now he's just head-kicking people. Like, the whole division's cooked. So that was my, like, opinion coming out of that fight. That was where I was like, yeah, no one's beaten Islam. I love Oliveira. Wish he would get the belt back. But yeah, like, this dude's not losing. That was my opinion there after that fight. So very impressive performance from Islam Makhachev. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, I knew you were good, but now you're KOing people. Like, yeah, nuts. Fair enough. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next fighter. Next up, we have UFC 293, where Sean Strickland walked down Israel Adesanya and beat his ass to a 49-46 or arguable 49-45 decision win. And dropped him in the first round. Was nuts. Just probably, like, by far the best performance of his career. By far the standout performance of his career. And that, I think everyone was like, all right, damn, Strickland. Like, I was not familiar with your game. You went out there, put on a 10-8 at the press conference, and then put on a 10-8 arguably in the first, and then whooped his ass for the rest of the fight. I think Izzy won the second, but Strickland gained so much aura with this performance, and he actually maintained some of that aura going into the Dricus fight, but now he's losing a bit of it now, to be honest, with how he's acting and just refusing to fucking fight Whittaker and all that. But anyway, it is what it is. He's going to get his title shot, fair enough. But this performance was the one where I think everyone was like, damn, I did not know you had that in you, Strickland. Like, I think everyone just remembered Strickland as the guy who yapped and then got KO'd by Ferreira. Even though we knew he was good, you know, a Mavov win, Abbas Magomedov win, that was good. We knew he was a funny guy. We were familiar with the Strickland game in terms of the personality, but we were not familiar with the game in terms of his ability to actually, like, be a top-level fighter, which changed at UFC 293. Anyway, let's move on to another performance. Next up, we got Dricus du Plessis finishing Robert Whittaker in the second round to claim his title shot. And this was the performance where I think everyone was like, yeah, went from the narrative of Dricus just being a fucking bum-ba-dum-bum-bum, Mr. Untechnical, Mr. Gasses out, Mr. No Cardio, looks dumb, looks stupid in all of his fights. No way this guy's going to be a top-level fighter. Was like a plus 300 against Whittaker. Lucas Tracy's making videos saying Whittaker's going to have to slip on a banana peel to lose. There's no chance he loses. And now since then, obviously, that's why I didn't put like the Strickland win or the Izzy win, because those were not as shocking and those were not as like, oh my god, how the fuck has he done this, compared to this performance against Whittaker where he was a massive underdog and proved everyone wrong. And that was the performance where I think the narrative around Dricus really changed. So yeah, really crazy stuff. Watching this live, I was like, what the fuck? The sport does not make sense anymore. But Dricus impressed me. Anyway, let's move on though to the last performance. Performance we got here is Merab 50-45 in Petr Yan back in March of last year at that fight night event in whatever that weird Virgin Hotels thing was or whatever the fuck it was. But yeah, this performance was the one that really stamped Merab as like a, damn bro, this guy might be a future fucking title holder. Like, I think this was after the Aldo fight. So the Aldo fight, I think everyone's like, oh, this guy's dead, boring, no one cares. Merab sucks. He's just going to try and lay on you, or he's just going to try and hump your leg. And then against Petr Yan, he didn't just hump his leg. He actually went out there, chucked Yan around. I know he failed a bunch of takedowns, but still, like, Yan had, like, fuck all moments. He even hurt him on the feet, had some good calf kicks in there. And yeah, made Petr Yan, literally gave him trauma in 25 minutes. Like, he gave him, like, physical trauma where he's, like, now reactive to, like, certain movements. Like, Petr Yan, in that Song Yadong fight, was sprawling crazy. Like, Song just fainted a takedown and Petr Yan is fucking humping the mat. That's the Merab effect, and that's what he did. Obviously, the Cejudo fight came after this where he just chucked him around. That was impressive as fuck, but I think this was the first one where Merab really broke through against a high-level guy and did it impressively. Because Aldo's high level, but that performance was not as impressive. But this was the first time where he made a high-level top guy, former champion, look like a little baby and threw him around and treated him like a bitch. Like, that's what Merab did in this fight. Surprised Guru didn't score at 135 for Yan. But no, Merab got the win here very impressively, and this was definitely a performance that changed my opinion on Merab. But that is the video done, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to know what performances I missed, because I know, like, I was a lot more detailed in terms of, like, there was 3 for the France card and 3 for the 306 card. Like, there was a lot more recently, and then as I kind of went into 2023, I like cooled off a bit. I didn't do as many. But yeah, what other performances in recent UFC really changed, in recent UFC history, really changed your opinion on a fighter and made you really think of them differently or like rate them differently? So let me know in the comments. Leave some other video ideas you guys want to see. I got the 307 predictions coming tomorrow as well. But yeah, let me know more videos ideas that you want to see, and I'll probably do them if they're good. If not, I won't. But yeah, peace out, guys. See you in the next one.